So welcome to Bar Talk. My name is Frank Bishop. I'm the president of the Maine State Bar Association. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a couple of guests. And so first I'd like to introduce Liz Elizabeth Stout. Liz is the executive director of the Volunteer Lawyers Project and wanted the opportunity to get in front of our members today. So Liz, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Frank. As Frank said, I'm Liz Stout. I'm the executive director of the Volunteer Lawyers Project, and I do appreciate this chance to say hello to everyone of my colleagues on the call. I am here to encourage you to consider volunteering with the VLP. And if you haven't done so already, on our website, which is vlp.org, you can register as an attorney. And that will give you information about various upcoming events and a variety of free continuing legal education programs we have coming up this fall. And you will be able to indicate what area of law you like to practice in and whether you are available for any volunteer service through the VLP. Virtually, regardless of your area of practice, we can probably find a case for you. So I hope you will consider that. I wanted to specifically mention that we are somewhat struggling at this time to provide family law help, as is often the case. The need well outstrips the volunteer attorneys that we have. So if you have interest in family law and you have interest in volunteering with the VLP, we provide limited representation in family law cases, which means you come in, provide some advice and guidance, and then that's the end of your representation. It's not an ongoing obligation. So again, for more information, please look on our website at vlp.org, or you can contact me directly and I'd be happy to chat with you about different opportunities. So thanks for your consideration, and thank you, Frank and Angela, for including me.
Thank you, Liz, for joining us. Does anybody have any questions on the call for Liz? So our next two guests are Kristin Murray James, who is the new executive director of the Maine Assistance Program for Lawyers and Judges, and Jonathan Dunnitz. We're going to be talking about attorney wellness and MAP. Jonathan is currently the vice president of the Maine State Bar Association, which means he will be the president-elect in 2023 and the president in 2024. And Jonathan's going to talk about this in more detail, but he's going to focus on attorney wellness during his reign over the Maine State Bar Association. So Kristin, thank you so much for joining us. I think that people like to hear a little bit about our guests' backgrounds. So if you wouldn't mind, you have a very interesting career path, and I think we'd like to hear about it. So, where did you grow up, college, and your career before you became a lawyer?
And that question's for me? That's
for you. We don't want to hear about Jonathan's background.
Okay. So right now I'm sitting in my home office in Wayne, Maine. I've lived here in Maine for the past 25 years. I live here with my husband, Nate, who's a family practice doctor in Hollowell, and my two daughters, 20 and 22. My older daughter is moving this weekend to take a job at Jackson Lab. She graduated with a degree in biology just this past May. And my younger daughter is a second year in college, and they both went to university in Nova Scotia. Before moving to Maine, I grew up in New York on Long Island, Mineola, kind of in smack dab in the middle of Long Island, and went to high school in that area, graduated, went off to the State University of New York College at Oneonta in upstate New York. I graduated with a degree in political science and environmental studies and had planned to go to law school. But I went to a meeting for the Peace Corps somewhere during the beginning of my senior year of college and decided that that would be a fun opportunity. So after graduating from college, I spent 2 years living in Morocco in North Africa, teaching environmental education to students and working at the National Zoo in the capital, Rabat. It was a very, very interesting 2-year experience. And I think my path really diverged because of that experience. And instead of going to law school, I decided that I wanted to continue helping women and their families, which was something that I was doing in the Peace Corps. And so went to graduate school and became a midwife. So I graduated from Yale in 1997 with my master's in nursing and midwifery, and practiced for 10 years at as a certified nurse midwife in both hospitals in Lewiston. And then after I had my first child, decided not to go back to hospital practice and instead practiced doing family planning, gynecological, woman care, and started my own business called Kennebec River Midwives, and did home births and births in a birthing center down in Portland with a partner. We were just about to buy a building in Hollowell to have our Kennebec River Midwives business, when both of us, myself and my partner in the business, decided maybe we didn't want to be midwives anymore and we wanted to try something else. She went off to school to get her a degree to become a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I decided to fulfill my dreams that were still there and go to law school. So the month before rather, my 40th birthday, I was sitting in the 1L classroom, which was quite an experience. I loved law school. I had a fantastic time. Pretty early on, I had an experience of being in court, just watching what was going on. And there were 2 prosecutors doing arraignments. And I was very drawn to that, drawn to the fast pace, drawn to the courtroom, and decided to give that a try. And for the past 10 years, I practiced as a prosecutor in Kennebec County and primarily did cases involving domestic violence and sex crimes. Again, helping mostly women and their families in a different way. So that's my background up until this point.
It's a pretty incredible story. And it makes sense in retrospect.
Yeah.
You were an assistant district attorney, and so you decided to take this job with MAP. So do you want to talk about that and what attracted you to the position, and maybe a little bit about how you see MAP evolving under your leadership?
Sure. I had never picked up the Maine Bar Journal before. I'm sorry that I hadn't, but as a prosecutor, it really wasn't a journal that we saw very, very often. I picked it up over the summer and I saw the job for MAP executive director advertised. And I read the description of who they were looking for and thought that could be me. I think because I started in the law later in life, I have a lot of career goals and life goals that I want to meet. And it felt like it was time to try something new. So it was very serendipitous that I saw the article or the advertisement rather in the journal and interviewed for the position. I met with all the commissioners and it really seemed like a tremendous fit. And again, a life goal and the next step in the progression of what I've been doing with my life professionally. Now I'm able to help a larger group of people, and a group of people that I've really come to, of course, because I'm part of the group, come to really care for. And those are the lawyers and other legal professionals in the state. So that's why I took the job. Certainly I have some big shoes to fill. Bill Nugent has been the director for the past almost 14 years. And he has really grown the program from being one that really started out probably not completely intentionally, but started out really as a program for attorneys that had problems with alcohol and drugs. Bill has really grown that program to incorporate any issues having to do with mental health or behavioral health, and has done a fantastic job getting the program out there so that the legal community knows it's available. My job, and I've been tasked by the commission that runs the program, tasked to grow the program. And my plan is to grow that primarily through educational efforts. I've been asked by the law school to partner with them on a number of different things that they're doing through lawyer well-being. And of course, that's a great place to start because we're talking to the future lawyers, judges, and other legal professionals in the state. And Jonathan, as you said, is going to really focus on well-being when he becomes the president of the Maine State Bar Association. So he and I will be partnering on addressing issues of well-being. And, you know, I think we can all relate that well-being has really come to the forefront with this pandemic. And we've all sort of taken account of what we're doing with our lives, and who knows how long we're all here for, right? So even though we have super stressful, demanding jobs, it doesn't mean that we have to be unhappy or unhealthy about it. We can have everything. We can have stressful jobs, but deal with the stress, and have good lives and be lawyers at the same time.
Absolutely. Just to take a step back, because before we had spoken, I realized that I did not know how MAP was created, how it's funded, how it's organized. So just to give people the kind of 101 of creation of MAP and those sorts of details.
Sure. So I have a very, very brief 4-slide PowerPoint that sort of will give you an idea. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. Okay, can everyone see that? Okay, so MAP stands for the Maine Assistance Program for Lawyers and Judges, and you probably all know that. I think what most people don't know, and I really didn't know until I researched this job when I was interviewing for it, is how it was formed. It was created in 2002 by the Maine Supreme Judicial Court. At this time, lots of other states were also forming assistance programs like this. And it was an effort to really address the issues that were detrimentally affecting the performance of lawyers and judges in Maine. And the Supreme Judicial Court listed in its rules 3 reasons why they were forming this program. And the first one was to promote the integrity of the legal profession by protecting the public from impairment by lawyers and judges. The second was to educate lawyers and judges and law school students on issues that cause impairment and remedies for those impairments. And also, and probably most importantly, to assist impaired members of Maine's legal community to begin and continue their recovery. It's not just attorneys that call MAP for assistance. Judges call, Maine law school students call, applicants to the Maine bar have contacted MAP, and family members of attorneys in the state who are concerned for the lawyers and their families. It's not just a program for attorneys and judges with drug and alcohol problems. It is that, but it's more than that. And I have a list of things I've been doing in the past couple of months, which I thought was probably the best way of explaining to you what MAP actually does in real terms. I've received calls from every day. I receive calls from attorneys in Maine who are stressed, overwhelmed, especially because of the increased caseloads that we have here in the state due to the pandemic, the backlog, and then the increase in cases. Sometimes they just need to talk. Sometimes I can connect them with a former MAP participant who is now a volunteer, who is a lawyer maybe in the same area of law that this caller is. And they can connect and they can talk about ways of dealing with the difficulties that that person is having. Sometimes they need to be referred to a counselor. I have a list of counselors who have worked with professionals, lawyers in particular, and can be helpful to these people. As I said before, I've been partnering with the law school on a number of initiatives. The law school and MAP have partnered to present a series of well-being sessions through NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. It's a group of sessions that the law school presents at lunchtime, and it's hopefully going to help them deal with law school and deal with the legal profession that they're entering, and also with the clients that they'll be encountering. Certainly, I've received lots of calls from 1Ls who are wondering if they've made the right decision, and 3Ls who are wondering the same thing and just really need someone to talk with or need to be connected with another attorney who can walk them through what's going on with them. MAP holds does lots of presentations. I recently did a presentation for the probate judges for their annual meeting, and I brought with me a expert in mindfulness, and he was able to talk with the probate judges about using mindfulness as a way of dealing with stress. MAP has groups. There's a 12-step group that happens twice a month, and it's just for attorneys. So it had been on Zoom because of the pandemic. Now it's hybrid. It's the first and third Wednesday of the month at the First Parish Church in Portland from noon to 1. Anybody who's interested in coming, and it's any 12-step issue. It's not just alcohol and drugs. It can be other behavioral types of issues that you want to address. And you can be guaranteed that it would be confidential, anything that you say in this meeting. And if you want any more information, just call me about that meeting. I also, of course, work with the Board of Bar Overseers and the court and the judicial program that helps attorneys who attorneys who are involved in disciplinary proceedings. And it's part of the program that I oversee the conditions that they have to meet in order to maybe not lose their license or get their license back, or other issues that go on. So call me if you have any questions about what I've said, or you have any suggestions on how we can grow the program, what your needs might be as an attorney. I'm happy to listen to anything you have to say. Thanks.
Kristin, just a couple of items. The funding for MAP. The funding for MAP comes through the fees that are paid to the Maine Board of Bar Overseers, correct?
Yes, that's right. So every year when you pay your dues, $20 of that comes to the MAP program, and $20 of it goes to the program that funds, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name of it now. It's a fund that helps make clients whole who have been harmed in some way by some malpractice through the legal profession.
And you mentioned volunteers.
Yes.
So as I understand it, one of the primary things that you do at MAP is to match people who call you seeking services and assistance with volunteers. So what sorts of volunteers are you looking for, and how would people approach you if they were interested?
Thank you. That's a great question. You can approach me by calling the number or sending me an email. We need volunteers that just have life experience. Certainly there are volunteers that have been through our program who are in recovery, and they can provide some guidance to younger attorneys or attorneys who are finding themselves in a situation and need to address whatever issue is going on with them, and they could talk with somebody who's had that similar experience. But you don't have to have had an issue with alcohol, drugs, or mental health issues to be a volunteer for MAP. You can simply be another attorney who is willing to talk with an attorney in need to help them through whatever is going on in their lives.
Does anyone on the call have any questions for Kristin? We've got a few more minutes, so feel free to either weigh in on the chat or ask a question. Jonathan, I wanted to segue for you to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about what you foresee for a wellness initiative over the next couple of years while you're in the leadership of the Maine State Bar Association.
Thank you, Frank. We identified wellness as one of our goals to deal with at our most recent strategic planning meeting. It's something that has been on my mind for almost 30 years, since I was diagnosed with depression in 1996, and really recognized the importance of it for attorneys. The wellness committee for the Bar Association was formed as a result of that meeting. And we met a couple weeks ago, and we're setting both short and long-term goals for the committee. The short-term goals are to try to get some programs out to our members immediately. So, and when I say programs, it's pretty wide-ranging, because it's going to include some, links for places where you can find things about mindfulness or meditation, but also try to connect folks who just want to get outside and exercise together. And so if, for example, Kristin and Frank both like to hike, and so we're going to ask them to volunteer to lead hikes every so often, and just have some of our members gather and get outside and do some exercise. We're also thinking of some long-term goals, and realize that that's a lot bigger than us. Attorney wellness is something that the MSBA needs more than just our members and our board to deal with. And so in the coming days, I'm going to reach out to stakeholders from the overseers, the Board of Bar Examiners, federal and state courts, the law school, and also I've already reached out to Kristin to try to form a coalition or a task force to deal with this issue in Maine, and to come up with some proposals and some ways that we can address this issue. And there's already a really good blueprint for that. The ABA studied this issue in 2017 and identified it as a serious issue facing lawyers across the country, and a number of states have formed task forces and put together what they're calling toolboxes for attorney wellness. And so we're hoping to work with stakeholders throughout the state to put together a program and to get MAP some more resources. The $20 per attorney that we give to MAP does not really do very much, or certainly doesn't do enough. And so we'd like to see some more money there. Also in the long-term goals, I'm glad to see Catherine Hall of the MSBA's communications director here, because we're planning on having one issue of the Maine Bar Journal during my term in office be dedicated to attorney wellness, and also have a program at the summer bar meeting in 2024 that focuses on attorney wellness. So it's something that's going to take longer than the term of president, one term of president. So we're going to start now, but the hope is that it's going to continue long after I have retired from the board. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm so glad that you're going to be doing this. I think it's a great and necessary mission. So last opportunity to ask Kristin or Jonathan any questions. Kristin put up her contact information. You can find their website is easy to navigate, and please don't hesitate to contact her. Angela, would you mind putting our MSBA business slide back up? So just a couple of items here I wanted to let people know about. Membership renewal, I just took care of mine. Please do re-up your membership. Rural Access to Justice Summit, October 26th via Zoom. We'd love to get a broad-based participation there. New England Bar Association meeting is in October. And then this is pretty much our biggest event that we do, even bigger than our summer and winter meeting, is the Legal Year in Review. And that's going to be at November 17th at the Augusta Civic Center in person. So we hope to see many of you there. I will be there and I will be attending. The next Bar Talk is on November 9. And while I have all you folks here, I want to let you know a couple of things. One is you can see all of these Bar Talks on YouTube. We've had a number of interesting guests over the last couple of years, and you can review any of these on our YouTube channel. I also wanted to put in a little plug for the lawyer referral service. So this is something I'm going to be focusing on over the next couple of Bar Talks and at the winter meeting and at the Legal Year in Review, is to remind people of this service provided by the Maine State Bar Association. You can join the lawyer referral service for a fee. It's $100 for members and $150 for non-members. As part of this promotion for lawyer referral service, we're going to consider whether to lower that fee or not to try to increase participation in this program. So the way this works is that people call our lawyer referral line and they're looking for an attorney. They pay a $25 fee for an application. That's an administrative fee, really to make sure the person is serious about needing a lawyer and contacting and wanting to have representation. The application is by phone call or on our website, and we receive a little bit less than 2,000 requests per year. So it gets used by the public. And the problem that I see is that we don't have enough rostered attorneys to fulfill the demand that's coming in through these phone lines. So I want to remind attorneys that it's a source of business, and it meets a demand that exists in our society. Out of those little bit less than 2,000 requests per year, there's 1,000 of those, around 1,000, at least in the last 12 months, result in a consultation. It is a free half-hour consultation. And out of those 1,000 consultations, we usually have about 400 engagements per year. So the participating attorney is required to report to us quarterly, and attorneys pay lawyer referral service. That is actually really hard to say. Try to say it. It gets caught in your mouth. So attorneys pay the service 10% of fees they collect after $200. So that's my little pitch for lawyer referral service. Look at it on our website. And Angela, you look like you have something you want to add. No? Please consider participating, because the current number of rostered attorneys is insufficient to meet the calls that we're getting, and we'd love more folks to join us. So thank you very much. Angela, do we have any questions?
No, Frank, I did not receive any questions.
Could I add one more thing before we?
That would be great.
Thanks. In talking about volunteers, certainly we need volunteers so that we can connect attorneys with each other to help with issues, but also MAP could really use a volunteer that knows about websites. I've gotten a lot of feedback, and I myself think that the website needs to be completely revamped. And I have some skills, but I don't have the same level of skills that maybe there are other attorneys in the state who could help me out with figuring out how to change the website. It is hard for MAP to hire too many people because our budget is so small. So if we could find a volunteer who would give a few hours to help with the website, that would be fantastic. Thanks.
So keep that in mind, folks. If you have a friend or a child or a colleague who'd be willing to help out MAP, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in November at the next Bar Talk. Have a great day.
Thank you.